Good morning, Houston Apartment Association. I'm going to let you guys get logged in. It's 10 o'clock on the dot. My name is Amanda Shrabandi. I'm with the Houston Apartment Association. I'm in charge of the membership and marketing department here at HAA. I've got my good friend here with me. His name is Doug Miller. You're going to hear from him in just a few seconds. For now, I do want to welcome you to our compensation survey results and implications webinar. We asked our members several weeks ago to participate in a survey to ask them about their compensation and their benefits with their company, and they responded. You guys, some of you might be on the Zoom call this morning, and if you did participate, thank you very much. We hope that it was pleasurable or easier than it has been in the past, but we're super excited to share those results and actually the highlights, because the report is very lengthy, it's very comprehensive, it's got lots of good information in it for you to use to compare to what your company is using today. For now, though, let me just to start this off, I want to recognize our sponsor for today. We've got Higher Priority, who is who helped us with providing this compensation survey. They are the leading multifamily staffing firm in Texas right now. We've got our friends Robert Cote and his team. They're ready to answer any of your calls that you might have, or any of your challenges that you might have on property. They're a Texas-based leader in the multifamily staffing solutions space, with a 3-decade commitment and counting of introducing exceptional individuals to incredible organizations. Higher Priority alumni are found throughout HAA. We welcome an opportunity to help you identify today's talent and attract tomorrow's leaders. So thank you to Higher Priority. The next thing I'm going to do is turn it over to our expert over as far as compensation surveys go. Doug Miller is partner and chief research officer with Swift Bunny, and he oversees research and new product planning. Swift Bunny offers a comprehensive platform to measure, manage, and maximize engagement and retention via its employee and resident lifecycle feedback systems, a custom survey builder, and an upcoming employee on and offboarding workflow manager. Prior to creating Swift Bunny with Joe Bailey, founder of Grace Hill, from 2000 to 2015, Doug was founder and president of Satisfax Research. Familiar name, I'm sure. Multifamily's leading resident feedback program provider. After selling Satisfax to the owners of ApartmentRatings.com, he was founder and CEO of Manage Inc., which provided employee, resident, and service provider feedback. Manage Inc. was ultimately merged into Swift Bunny, which is what it is today. Doug started his career in property management in the 1980s, including as director of marketing for 2 NMHC top 50 firms. He earned his BSBA from Washington University, St. Louis, and MBA marketing from the American University. He also has a cute little assistant that he just got. Her name is Charlie, and she's one of my babies, right, Doug?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves a puppy, especially on a rainy morning, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, Doug, go ahead and take it over. What do you have for us today? Share what you found in the survey that you just did.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, Amanda. It's been great working with you. Really good partnership, and thanks to our sponsor, and obviously, what's property management without staff, and actually without being fully staffed, and that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about here. Let me share my screen. Give me one moment here. Let's make sure. Okay. And God, now you have, as everybody knows with Zoom, all these things all over the place. Let me get them out of the way. All righty. So compensation and benefits survey. And again, thanks to Higher Priority, and thanks to the association, and thanks to everyone who participated. And even if you didn't participate, thanks for caring enough to be here today. What you're going to find, I'm going to take about 15 minutes and kind of do a high level. I'm not going to be citing statistics and 13.2% said this. I'm going to be talking about kind of the bigger role of this study. Well, table of contents. want to quickly start about what our goals were. First of all, we wanted to surpass the 62 companies that participated in 2021. As Amanda knows, I'm very competitive, and we had a really aggressive program in place. Also wanted to get into a lot of other benefit topics. The past surveys were fine, absolutely. Jay Turner does a good job, but there are other areas we wanted to get into as well. And that includes the employee profit chain and perceptions about that. And we'll get into that in a minute. And big picture, the purpose of this is for you to be able to evaluate your competitiveness in the labor market in terms of compensation and benefits, and provide some direction so that you can take steps to improve employee engagement, employee retention, and resident retention, because resident satisfaction usually doesn't improve when you're down a maintenance deck. All that to boost reputation, both in terms of new residents and employees, more success in hiring employees, better resident retention, and we all know how much turnover costs. By the way, before I get into this, obviously our big focus, it's interesting. I like saying controversial things. Resident satisfaction does not matter at all. Now you think I'm crazy. Now I'll explain. What matters is employee engagement and retention. Engaged employees provide great service. It's a byproduct. And so I watch a lot of stuff and read a lot of Reddit, and I saw a sign for a restaurant. And instead of saying cheeseburgers $1.99, it said, now hiring anyone who will show up. And I come from the business. I've been very focused on employee and resident retention over the years, and recognize how painful and challenging this is. So that's kind of the foundation of where I'm coming from on this. First of all, in terms of how did we do, we had 71 companies participate, representing almost 190,000 units. The number of companies was up almost 15% from 2021, and the number of units represented was up 22%. So an even better sampling of membership. When we get into the tables, and I'm not going to go into detail with everything, but this also applies when you get the PDF of this report. There's conditional formatting, and any number that's red, that's the lowest value in whatever question that was. Yellow means it was the 50th percentile, it was at the average, and green means it's the highest average. And this will help when you're looking at it to compare where are you versus the market. And the employee profit chain is, to me, is maybe the greatest concept as it relates to business performance. And the purpose to look at your competitiveness and how that impacts the employee profit chain. And it's real simple. Engaged and retained and satisfied employees provide great service. They stay around. They're productive. That drives resident satisfaction and retention. That obviously improves how people respond to rent increases and the like. All that drives your reputation among prospective residents and employees, and will aid in recruiting both. And all that's going to reduce the amazingly expensive cost of turnover. And I don't mean resident turnover. I don't just mean resident turnover. I also mean employee turnover. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And it's going to impact the bottom line. So it all starts with your team. And I know I'm singing to the choir here. I'm not saying anything everyone here doesn't get. Key takeaways. I tried to put more words on this slide. Just kidding. Ask me what time it is. I tell you how to build a clock. You're going to find that you're going to get great information in terms of your market, in terms of compensation and benefits, but its greatest value comes in, as I mentioned before, evaluating your competitiveness versus the market, and then identifying opportunities to enhance what you're offering. And that then leads to employee engagement and the employee profit chain. The Swift Money Index, which is our national benchmark, shows compensation, incentives, and benefits meeting needs have from a modest to strong correlation with the likelihood to remain with the company. And you know, we're all, even if we own our business, we're all employees. And you want to be happy with your job, a lot of different things, but you also want to feel like you're being well compensated for and taken care of. And employee disengagement is an immense issue. And it proves why you need to take a look at your packages. Our index shows the cost of employee turnover to be 34% of someone's salary or total compensation. And you may think that's a lot, but the Society for Human Resource Management cites that at about 50%. And that's separation costs, and productivity costs, impact on resident retention, et cetera. Gallup reports that the companies with lower disengagement, employees are 18% less productive, much higher absenteeism. Forbes says that companies with low employee engagement have 59% higher turnover. And Gallup again says that for the companies in the bottom half of engagement, they're 44% less profitable. And let's get real. Whether you're an operator or you're a supplier partner that's on this call, or you're HAA, or we're a supplier partner, we all have the same fiduciary responsibility, which is growing the income and asset values of portfolios. So this really does matter. And again, I keep talking about the employee profit chain, but it drives results. As I discussed, they deliver engage employees, superior service, boosts retention, reduces turnover, boosts reputation, improves recruitment, and that all drives NOI. There's some interesting stats from the Swift Money Index on engagement, and this is the world you guys are living in. Average time with the company, leasing consultants amongst our clients, only 357 days. They're not even with the company a full year. And we'll get into that in a little bit more. Maintenance techs, less than 2 years. That's about one and a half years are with the company. And it dropped 104 days from the previous year. And then you tie that into now hiring anyone who will show up. Over 20% of all employees who left the company left in the first 90 days. And when you look at maintenance and leasing, that's a quarter. Didn't even last 90 days. And obviously you think about the time and effort and opportunity costs involved with vacant positions, obviously it matters. So compensation and benefits matter. I've discussed why. And it's so critical, even more critical now because of high employee turnover, the impact that has on reputation and recruiting employees and residents, hiring, and then the impact staff shortages have on your team, on their performance, on burnout, and ultimately impacting service delivery and resident satisfaction. So this study allows you to dig into that. Real quickly, the majority of the respondents had smaller portfolios, less than 10 units, but there was a variety. In terms of units, and again, you'll get this report so you can dig in, but more than half had less than 1,000 units. So smaller portfolios, a lot more than I own. I own one. In terms of the number of employees, 2/3 had less than 10 employees, which ties with the portfolio sizes. Now, I'm about to show you something, and I don't expect you to be able to read this, but it'll be in the PDF. This table goes by each of the position categories that we asked about, and then the income or hourly rate range. And what you're going to want to, again, I talked about the conditional formatting. Here you'll see the lowest scores. As you work towards yellow, those are the closer to the 50th percentile, and as you get to the greens, those are the highest percentages. So you'll be able to dig into this. I'm not going to go through this because that would take hours to explain, but take a look at where you fit in this. By the way, this was a big change with this year's survey. Rather than you having to enter every single employee's compensation, there were just ranges for a position. Bonuses and commissions. Again, you'll be able to dig into this more when you get the PDF, but and I apologize. I tend to focus on the opportunities to improve, the challenges, said another way, the negatives rather than the positives. Um, so I apologize for that, but something that hit me was that 14% of companies didn't pay leasing bonuses. And again, if you're having high turnover in leasing positions, that's something you need to take a look at. And you can see what the averages are in terms of as a percentage of annual compensation, or as a percentage, I'm sorry, as a flat percentage or as a percentage of rent. And you'll be able to dig in and look and see how you compare. Again, keeping in mind, I'm sure every company I'm talking to at this point probably has a vacant leasing position, even if you only have 2, 3, 4 properties. You're going to also find all the comments are included. Now this was a confidential survey. Our database knows who said what, but none of that is ever shared. And in terms of the comments, those were reviewed to make sure there are no company names. Like at Miller Management, we offer this. So there shouldn't be anything in there. And if for some reason I was missed, please contact me. Insurance. Again, you'll be able to look at this. This is what type of coverage do you offer? And what was fascinating to me was that 11% don't offer health insurance. And almost 20% don't offer dental and vision. And again, I'm not going to judge. All I'm going to say is you need to take a look at where you stand versus the marketplace and make sure you're competitive, so that you can maximize employee engagement and retention. And again, you'll be able to go through this. This goes through health, dental, disability, life, etc. Then we get into options that are offered. Again, I'm not going to go into great detail, but I have to point out one thing. If you're familiar, we, for the last 3 years, have done an employee mental and emotional health survey with HAA. And you can download the report. This is a live link. And I was really excited about something, which was at 48% offer employee assistance programs. With that study, I did personal one-on-one review sessions with executive teams. And there was one pretty significant company with the head of HR who didn't even know if her company offered an EAP. So literally during the session, I pulled up her provider's website and showed her the link and said, "Here you go, get it." So there we go. This then gets into the waiting period to begin insurance benefits, and the majority require a waiting period. That's covered in detail here. Something that hit me again in terms of this issue of challenges retaining employees is that almost half the companies increase deductibles. And I understand, and 11% reduce the types of coverage. I understand. I'm a business owner and have been for a long time. I get it, but you have to ask yourself, is this harming my business? Again, then the comments, pension plans, 2/3 offer a 401k. You'll be able to look at these and evaluate yourself versus the market. Companies matching percentages, this is covered. Again, I'm not going to get into this detail. It's too in the I'll let you dig in on your own. Almost about 1/4 had no waiting period, but most did have a waiting period for 401ks. Then we have comments, housing allowances. This is a fascinating topic. I come from your guys' side of the business, and I remember my first job as director of marketing for a pretty good size regional fee manager, that they stopped the program of offering discounts, and the comment was made, well, we can get more rent from somebody, a new resident moving in. I understand that. On the other hand, it's a benefit to your employees, and unfortunately for the employee, it means they're there if there's a water leak at 3 in the morning. But it's certainly something that needs to be considered. Most do offer it, which was great. Again, comments, PTO. The norm for the first 3 years was 2 weeks. You'll be able to dig in and evaluate this. Waiting period. one quarter had no waiting period, the rest did. A third had 90 days. What about carrying forward? A third don't allow it to be carried forward. Again, you're going to go through this, and in each case, look at what you offer versus the market. Paid holidays, the average holidays, comments. And I don't mean to be flying through this, but there's some really important stuff coming up at the end, and you'll have plenty of time to review this on your own. Almost 70% offer various leave of absence benefits, which again, you'll be able to take a look at that. This gets into parental leave, paternity leave, etc. And again, you can dig into this. And we have the comments and expenses you're reimbursed for, and you'll be able to see here. I'm not going to go through any of the detail because more important stuff at the end. Education. Almost everybody covers work-related courses. Almost half pay for vocational. Only a quarter pay for associate or undergraduate education. And you know what? We know from our research and think of our own careers, we want to grow. And I just suggest that you consider some sort of program to aid those who want to further their collegiate education. So there. Performance evaluations. Almost everybody offered reviews, but 8% didn't. Don't know why. Maybe it's a one person who owns one property and they don't and they manage it. Who knows? But something to think about. Then it gets into what are the average increases. And you can see 2/3 did 3 to 5%, 15% did 0 to 2%, and 7% did 10% or more, which is like, wow, that's pretty amazing. Other benefits, these are just comments. Again, you'll be able to read through this and get ideas. Now we get into a really important area when we talk about the employee profit chain. We asked, what was your estimated annualized turnover for this year? And again, this ties into the employee profit chain, and was shocked and surprised and happy to see that more than a third said 0 to 9% employee turnover. That's incredible. Half reported less than 50%. The challenge with this, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, is that NAA doesn't report employee turnover. Nobody does. The only people that track it, we're the only company I'm aware that tracks it for our clients. But that's a whole nother story. Then a big question of, are you doing better or worse? How are you doing in terms of employee turnover? And I was thoroughly excited that 33% said employee turnover was lower. On the flip side, 61% that it was the same or higher. And I understand the challenges that are being faced. That's part of the reason for doing this survey. But you need to ask yourself, if you're doing the same or worse in terms of employee turnover, I better take a look at this study and see what we can do to improve. Talk to your employees, engage them in the discussion. In terms of the positions that have openings, to no surprise, maintenance supervisors, porters and custodians. You'll then see leasing at 30%. This is no surprise to you all, but I always say you're not going to get more work orders done when you're down a maintenance tech. Maintenance techs, the offensive line of property management. This was an interesting question Amanda shared that somebody wanted to ask about new technologies being used or to either replace positions or getting rid of positions. And you can see the results here. And you need to ask yourself, how can you make operations more efficient? Because besides benefit, one benefit is work-life balance is, who knows what that is. But whatever you can do to reduce the burden, have an after call guideline, after hours guideline for communicating with staff, unless it's an emergency, and what processes can be evaluated and what technologies can streamline work. Because burnout obviously is an issue and that leads to turnover. And there's some examples in here. Okay, now the last section. And I haven't even looked at time. Ooh, I better hurry up. we asked, these are a series of statements about the employee profit chain, and people asked, how much do you agree with this? And they're positive statements about relationships. And over 90% agreed with almost everything. But what threw me for a loop was that 20% didn't agree that employee turnover impacts resident satisfaction. And maybe the thinking was, well, if there's a staff member that's terrible, but generally speaking, reduced staff means reduced service delivery. So that one threw me for a loop. And 15% didn't agree that resident turnover impacts property performance. Maybe they're waiting lists and there's no vacancy loss, but that totally threw me for a loop. Lastly, the next steps. Identify your priorities when you go through this. How can you enhance what you're offering? Set your priorities, develop an action plan, share the results with every employee, not only emailing, but hold a town hall and take action and let people know what's going on. I ran over on my time. Oh, there's a slide in here about Swift Bunny, and then you'll see the survey in here. But that said, let me stop my screen share and we'll see if we have questions.
Thank you, Doug. Oh my gosh, that was like
I'm gonna breathe now.
Well, right. I don't think you breathe one time. So you can take a breath now, take some coffee. We didn't get any questions, just that like this is just a lot of information and it's in a very small amount of time. We are going to share this recording with you and you're actually going to get the full report shortly in your inbox. So you'll be able to comb through it, share it with your team and discuss the implications of what Swift Bunny has found. You had another comment?
I was going to say, if anybody wants to talk, email me. There's no charge. We're we're a for-profit business, but between the surveys we do for HAA on DE&I and mental and emotional health, etc., this is given back to our family. So if you have a question, reach out to me. I'm happy to discuss it with you.
Absolutely. If you want, can you do me a favor, Doug, and put your email in the chat for them so much if
I
you
can
can.
do that.
Yeah, he's going to put his email in there. How do the invitations for this survey go out? So I can answer that. We did send it to every main contact for every management company that had 50 units or more in the Houston area. So we reached out to that main contacts. We did receive some responses to people saying, please contact my HR person or contact my supervisor. We did get that. So Tanya, hopefully that answered your question on this. I can tell you, just FYI, we have 537 management companies in Houston in the membership, in our membership base that have over 50 units. And the average unit count is about 1,100 units or 5 to 6 properties per company that have 250 units each. So it's a really good sampling. And hopefully you guys can dig into this a little bit more. And if you have more questions, please feel free to contact Doug over at Swift Bunny or give me a call too. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as well. Let me look at some more questions here. Any idea onto what is driving the labor shortage in maintenance help? Holy moly, that's a loaded question. I don't know if we have enough time for that. But Doug, I mean, what do you see nationwide? What do you think the real problem is?
Well, the country, we've been through a lot.
Right.
X years. And not that maintenance techs can work from home, but there've been so many challenges and economic challenges, etc. I mean, I think employee benefits based on the correlation between compensation and benefits with the likelihood to remain with the company because of the fact they're so high. And let's get real. They're reading the news. They're hearing that there's a labor shortage, supply and demand. They're on it's a seller's market, not a buyer's market. And I think people are, if you're really happy where you are, you're not going to worry about an extra X dollars per month. But if you're having frustrations with work, there's that mentality of you're not paying me enough to put up with this. And I think that's a driver. Again, you just look everywhere. Everyone's talking about the shortages, supply and demand, basic economics. That's
Yeah. Yeah, it is very unfortunate because, like you said, they are in our frontline guys. We cannot run our properties and our assets without them. So it is a nationwide problem that we've just got to figure out how to handle. And hopefully, this compensation survey will help with that, right, Doug?
You know what? Let me throw something else out, and this is not a sales pitch. This is Amanda knows I'm really passionate about this topic. Talk to your employees. You know, we happen to offer employee surveys, but you don't need a survey to have town halls. You don't need to have do a survey to have one-on-ones, and you know, if somebody's going to be leaving, don't let them walk without sitting down with them and saying, is there anything we can do? And if it's somebody you feel it's for the best that they leave, that's one thing. But communication, it's another thing that comes out from the Swift Money Index. It's this ain't rocket science, you know.
Yeah.
Talk to people, show you care. And I remember a number of years ago at NAA conference, I did a seminar at the annual conference on employee satisfaction and engagement. I was really lucky that Alex Jackie agreed to be a co-presenter, the former head of NAA, elected president of NAA. And it made this comment, and it's joking, but it isn't. But it's like, if you care, fantastic. If you don't care, fake it, because it's in your best interest. You can't run a company. I mean, no matter what brilliant ideas we come up with at the C level and acquisitions and new contracts you get, the bottom line is the money's made on site.
That's absolutely true. You're right. Without them, we can't do it. One final question we have from Maria. She says, do you propose? Well, she says, according to a recent class I had at the HAA, we have a shortage in salespeople. Do you propose we change our commission strategy? I think I know the answer to that. Probably take a look at the study and see where you are aligning with what's happening, right? So hopefully, Maria,
Yeah.
get the survey. It's very, very comprehensive. Like I said, I want to say it's 80 pages, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
pretty
lost
lengthy.
count.
So yeah, just
That
dig in
said,
there.
there's only one question typically per page, so don't worry.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's true too.
but you know
Okay.
what? And that's, I think, like you said, the stats in terms of you know, flat amounts or flat percentages of rent. Take a look at where you stand. We don't. I don't think you need to. We don't need to try to reinvent the wheel. We just need to make sure and I wouldn't say competitive. If you're having challenges, I'd say competitive isn't going to get you where you need to.
Fine.
You need to out compete.
Yeah. Great advice, great information. Thank you for walking through this survey, Doug, because it is brand new as far as formatting. So again, you guys will receive that shortly in your inbox. We are going to also send you the recording so that you can kind of listen to Doug and about each topic on your own. Thank you
Especially if
very
you
much
can't
for your
sleep. If you can't sleep, just turn it on.
yeah, there you go, a lullaby. Thank you very much for your time today. We went a little bit over, but hopefully this was super helpful for you. If you have any questions about anything else that HAA related, benefits, classes, credentials, just give us a call and we'll be able to point you in the right direction. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everyone.